One of the things that I hear all the time of people like downing the American society is for how frequently we divorce.
I can't compare our society with the American society, but for here, I know that a lot of women are married mostly because our society demands that you stay married. So you'd find people who are falling out of love with their spouses, but they're still in marriages because they have to still keep that Mrs. title.
That he can take a wife over her objections. So she can say no, and he can still take her anyways.
That's not nice. That's not nice. Who does that? That's not love. You know, people are deceptive. I'll tell you whatever it is that you want to hear, and then at the end of the day, I get married to you, and boom, I'm bringing another wife home. You don't have to say anyways. I'm married to you now, so it's either you stay or you go. And this happens very often in Nigeria.
No. I feel like we need to find somebody in that scenario. Because, not to say it like I don't want to like blast it. Like, I want to understand. I always want to understand. That's probably a bad part about me. Because I'm always eager to understand things that I should probably stay the heck away from.
No, but it's fine. I think curiosity is good. If the men and women in our society are as curious as you are, they'll probably be able to ask themselves really the important questions. Because tell me why you know very well that when you're with a man and he has other wives, it doesn't make you happy. Why would you even agree to even be in that kind of situation in the first place?
Because these guys are deceptive. As you just said, they'll say one thing to get you, and then they'll go back on their word.
So that's one issue I have with men, not not knowing what they want. Because it doesn't mean that they changed their minds after they got married. They didn't know they wanted to have multiple wives, or they just found this girl and then they fell in love with her and I'm like, oh, you're beautiful. I'd like you to have my kids. I no longer love my wife. Would you marry me? Oh, I don't love my wife enough anymore. Would you marry me so I have more love in my life?
Are any of those things acceptable? Like, okay, so let's say, do we think that there's a woman who would prefer, like, if the husband no longer loved you in that romantic way, but because of obligation, he's still willing to provide and whatever, would they choose to stay in it? Or do you think that it's kinder to let them go and find someone who will love them in that way? Because maybe that's something that I don't understand, because I feel like I can say one thing from how I understand it to be, and then on the ground, somebody could feel totally different. Because like in my mind, I'm like saying, like, it's kinder to let her go. Like, why would you string this woman along if this is not how you feel? But maybe the woman is like, I didn't mind being strung along. Like, I still want somebody to provide for me.
I think it's complicated. So I don't know about the American. I can't compare our society with the American society, but for here, I know that a lot of women are married mostly because our society demands that you stay married. So you'd find people who are falling out of love with their spouses, but they're still in marriages because they have to still keep that Mrs. title. So the man can provide for you to a certain degree. You guys may not be romantically involved anymore. There may not be sex on the table anymore. You don't even have conversations anymore, but he still provides, he still pays the bills. So they start to, he provides and I still have my Mrs. status, and maybe I even have some children for him, and then they stay. It's happening, you understand? So you either stay or you go and then, you know, fend for yourself and do all of that. Not like fend for yourself, because it's not like the women, you know, aren't already working for some of them, but they would choose to stay in that kind of situation over leaving. And I think that is really mean for couples to do that to themselves, because you're no longer in love. If you're no longer in love, go on now. Do you understand?
Do you know, I was about to say that because one of the things that I hear all the time of people like downing the American society is for how frequently we divorce. And I'm like, I agree that divorce is not ideal because, you know, the commitment that you attempted to make was for a lifetime. But as we grow, we learn as people. And if you fall out of love, is it preferable to then just allow divorce and allow you to go on and find the next, like, okay, so for instance, I think that white people divorce the most. Like, you'll find white people who have had like 6 husbands in a lifetime. And I'm like, wow, she's at 6. Like meanwhile, like, black people are struggling to find the first. But then I'm like, imagine the level of despair, depression, you know, bad moments that she's had. It's probably minimal. Because it sounds like a woman who's chasing her happy.
True.
And so I'm like, to think that this society wears it as like a badge of honor to be like, we are not like you Westerners, we are staying married. But in your marriage, you're totally miserable. You don't even sleep with your husband. In fact, you're 100% aware that your husband is sleeping with everybody else. And like, you wear it as a badge of honor. I don't understand.
That's because there's a lot of shame associated with being divorced, separated. There's a lot of shame. So you find people not openly able to talk about their divorce and separation. And then when they even have the courage to talk about it, there's that, oh, you failed. Do you understand? Your marriage failed. So the reason people are stuck is because of the shame associated with leaving. So there was a story on Instagram a few months ago, and it was domestic violence. It was all of this kind of stuff happening in the marriage. And then she eventually died, and people were coming out to say, oh, she should have left, oh, she left and went back, you know. So,
are we talking about the
one with
IDF?
Yes, that one. So if you follow the story, you'd know that there was a lot of leaving and coming back, leaving and coming back. And then there are other stories like that where you'd find that women stay in toxic marriages, just mostly out of fear of, if I leave, what will people say? If I leave, how would that be perceived? So now I'll be single and I'll be stripped of my unmarried status. So it's an issue of how you're going to be perceived or received as a human being. And human beings, naturally, we like to belong. The moment you are tagged a divorcee and then there's a negative stigma attached to it, everyone wants to run away from that. So we'd rather stay in marriages that don't work and suffer than come out. And the funny thing is that if we even take away the shame from it, we will be able to create conversations that even help mend the marriages themselves. But we don't want to have those conversations because we're so ashamed of having the conversations, of even admitting that our marriages are failing. So you're suffering, you can't come out and talk, you can't come out and share your experiences because you want to look like the perfect person. You understand? So I'm sure that that's why it happens a lot around here. I hear of white people that will tell you, I met someone actually that's married 3 people, and you know, and she's really happy. And I'm not advocating for, you know, just jumping out of a relationship if it fails. Like if you're married, you can try and work on your relationship.
Yes.
If it doesn't work after doing all that you can, it's okay to leave and find love elsewhere instead of staying there and knowing that your husband will come and give you HIV, come and give you staphylococcus, come and give you, what's that other one? They even give themselves. You understand?
And the craziest part about that story that I read is, I don't want to say it like I obviously don't know these people. I don't know what actually happened, but I did read a lot about it. But I just recently saw that the guy, it hasn't even been that long, and the guy has moved on, and he's already in love with somebody else.
Yeah.
The matchmaker person, like, I'm like, wow, like, it just makes the life of women seem so devalued to me. Like, everywhere I turn, I just feel like women are not valued here. I'm like, this woman from what I read, the woman practically built him up. Like, he came up on her shoulders. And in this struggle, you struggle with fidelity, all of this to the point where you are now, you've given up and you've killed yourself. And he went on with his life. Like, I mean, I don't know how long he could have been grieving, but he certainly didn't grieve alone for long because he's in love.
I think that he equally went through some abuse too.
Yeah, it seemed like it.
Yeah, he did. So it was like, there's usually no, we like to play the victim, but most times abuse that becomes that serious, a lot of times is because both of you are fueling it.
We got to talk about this male abuse because, these guys, they feel very unrepresented in my channel.
Yeah.
So we're going to bring a guy eventually so we can understand the dilemma of these men. But my worry about concerning myself with the dilemma of men is that, like, what I've observed is Nigerian men don't like to be called out for their own part. Like, so there are some very real dilemmas that they face, right? Like, I can imagine that the pressure to provide for a man here must be so enormous.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know who they would unpack that to, but it's unreal. And I'm like, I feel for them on that. But then once they can provide, and now they're out here just dogging women, like,
you just said something now, and I remember someone I know when he was like 14 when he gave me this story about when he was 14. So he didn't have any money. He had this crush, and they were in school together. And after a while, he didn't have anything, and she went off with someone else who had so much money. So it's a system that oppresses men that don't have anything. So men who have money literally oppress guys that don't have. So it's normal when you're oppressed. If you don't deal with the oppression or the emotion that led to you being oppressed, when you find yourself in a position to oppress other men, it naturally repeats the cycle. So they're the ones who are oppressing themselves, not women. They're taking it out on us. We're the victims here.
come on. Which is, I'm guessing, where this term big man and Oga come from. Like, these men,
because they're constantly
they
trying
really
to
want these
validate.
titles.
Okay, there was this post I commented on Instagram today, and someone said, you have time. And I'm like, you don't know what I do on a regular. This is what I talk about on a regular. So I have time to write these very long comments. And they're like, they're talking about relationships and saying how men want respect. So that a man would, even if you have sex with him and do all of that, he would still, if you don't respect him, he would leave you for someone who respects him. And in my comments, I said, I agree. Men really need and deserve respect, right? But it's one thing for you as a leader to know that your place is to be respected. But then it's another thing for you to also understand your place as a leader and know the right way. You should be emotionally intelligent enough to know how to get the respect you want from a woman.
Earn it.
Do you understand?
Yes.
Yeah. I was going to use the word anything. That was what I used on Instagram. Earn it. You get. So if a woman is not acting the way you want her to, she's not respecting you, you don't need to throw tantrums. Then you'll be acting like a woman. You should know what to do to make your woman respect you. Earn her respect. And how do you earn a woman's respect? By showing her love. A woman won't respect you if you don't show her love. It's not rocket science. It's common sense. You understand? So you don't listen to her. You yourself as a man, you don't even show her any respect. You don't show her that her opinions matter. You don't communicate with her because you feel like you want to lord yourself over her. So you don't want to have a conversation with her. So how am I going to respect you when I don't have anything to say? I'm like your doormat, so whatever, do whatever it is that you want to do. So, and that's where we miss it as women and men. Women want love and will do anything to get love. You understand? And you want respect. So just love me and let me respect you. It's simple. But then as a man, if you love a woman and she still doesn't respect you, then love yourself enough to walk away.
Yes.
And as a woman also, you've shown a man all the love in the world or respect in the world, even when he hasn't loved you, and he still doesn't love you,
Wholeheartedly, I support that respect must be earned. And even Black American men and African men alike, they all just want it. Like, but nobody wants to do the hard work in earning it. How dare she ask me to be faithful? Like all these beautiful women out here. What? No, she should just respect me.
Exactly.
And it's like, it must be earned. But then because we are still stuck on that first part, we can't even get to identifying when there's really a problem. Like, you've done everything to earn the respect and she's not giving it to you. And then, you know, what your experience is like and making it a safe place for you to walk away from and all of these things. But we can't even get to the important stuff because there's everybody's struggling at the masses at the top. Like, respect is something that is earned. It is not freely given. In any, well, maybe in some societies. I haven't been to those societies yet, though, but.
I haven't heard of any too. I haven't. I know of inclusive societies. That would be respect, right? So when your society offers respect to you, but when it comes to men and women, we cannot outsource what we want to each other. We have to be responsible for what it is that we want from each other. If I want love from you and act in ways that, you know, would make me receive love from you, and if I want respect, I should act in ways that will make me receive respect from you. It's a two-way street.
Yes.